We want to begin, though, right here in studio with the latest numbers this afternoon. Rick Albin at the big board.
Well, we started this yesterday, and I said when we get those first results in, they're going to be important, but they may not be indicative of what we're going to see happen throughout the night, into the morning, into the next day, and they certainly were not. Yesterday, as we counted the numbers coming in, there was a lot of red on this map. There still is, by the way, but there was a lot of red on the state of Michigan, and there was a lead for Donald Trump through most of the night into the early morning. When I got back at about 5:30 this morning, Trump's lead had become considerably smaller, but he was still leading until mid-morning, and that's where these absentee votes came in, and ultimately Joe Biden went ahead, and by now he has gone ahead substantially, as he pointed out, well above what Donald Trump won by just 4 years ago. I want to make it a little more clear so you can see what we're looking at when we look at the state of Michigan and we look at the totals. This is how it breaks down. These are the areas that are voting for Joe Biden, including Marquette, and all of the rest is red, but not significantly enough to make up for the overvotes in these bigger counties. Let's take a look at what that looked like here in 2016. Look at the same map from 2016. The footprint is not that much different. It's just that the overvotes here have overridden the votes here. And so now we see, as we come back to 2020, exactly what it looks like as we stand here tonight with Joe Biden, 2,684,000 to 2,617,000. So that's the way it looks here in the state. So how does it look nationally? Well, I was asked by one of our producers to kind of walk through the electoral map again and talk about pathways, but we're kind of getting to the point that isn't even really the question. The question is now, when will the states be decided that will put this race to an end? We know we've got a lawsuit in Michigan, a recount request in Wisconsin. Both of those have been called by NBC for Joe Biden. In Pennsylvania, here we know that there's going to take a while to count, and it's going to be out there for a while, but it may not be terribly important depending on what happens in North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, or Nevada, because right now, Joe Biden needs 17. So he could get Arizona and Nevada, game over at 270. He could pick up Pennsylvania, game over, 270. And there are any number of other combinations. But for Donald Trump to do anything in this race to get to 270, he would have to have some Herculean effort that would include Pennsylvania and a bunch of the other states that are left over, or changing some of these states that have been called. I should point out that being called doesn't mean they've been certified. Those votes will still have to be reconciled with the Board of Canvassers, but it isn't often that you see votes changed once they go up on a board. So what you're really looking at now is either Donald Trump somehow running everything that's left out there to get to 270 or a little above, or Joe Biden picks up one or two more states and he's at 270, and then, except for all the certification, it's pretty much in the books.
Yeah.
Okay. You might want to talk to some of those lawyers lining up in Philadelphia right now for the GOP.
Yeah,
but,
I
yes.
think that at the end of the day, there may be some legal activities that extend this, but it would be rare to see votes changed in some of these states in significant enough number to change the electoral vote to change the overall outcome, I think.
Good point. Yeah.